one topic, two guests, two perspectives, one show that gets to the point with the biggest names in business, media, entertainment, and technology. Welcome to The Point with me, John Steinberg. Welcome to The Point. On this episode, we're talking about modern faith. When asked if they believe in God, about 9 in 10 Americans say yes, but ask them the way that they practice that belief, and the answer is not so simple. There are countless ways to talk about faith in this country, so to simplify a complicated subject, we focused on the concept of organized religion versus spirituality. A recent survey found that 1 in 5 Americans identifies as spiritual but not religious. I explore the topic with world-famous spiritual teacher Dr. Deepak Chopra.
Spirituality leads to transcendence, leads to self-awareness.
And Pastor Carl Lentz of the contemporary Pentecostal Hillsong Church.
Religion for me is something that I'm passionate about. I get to do it rather than I have to do it.
The key to knowing God is to know yourself.
You probably know Deepak Chopra as a prominent advocate of alternative medicine, spiritual teacher, and frequent Oprah collaborator. He's written 86 books, many bestsellers.
Is the call of God on your life, is it still special? Do you
Carl
look
Lentz
at people?
is the senior pastor of Hillsong Church's New York area chapter, which he co-founded in 2010. Known as the rock star pastor, Lentz counts celebrities such as Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez amongst his friends and congregants. I started off by asking them one of the most fundamental questions of all. How do you picture God in your own mind?
I picture Jesus because I feel like that's why it's so easy for me as a Christian to know who God is. And I talked to our church about this on Sunday. If you ever see a politician say, this is God's will, well, does it look like Jesus? If it doesn't, that guy's full of it.
Did you put an actual image of Jesus in your head?
Yeah, but he looks more like Kaepernick than Tom Brady.
Yeah, that was my next question, is you say picture Jesus, but we don't actually know how to picture Jesus.
We do, though. We do. That's the problem. So
Okay,
we have a whitewashed historical religious reference, which is the Anglo-Saxon Jesus with the blonde hair and the lamb that he pets.
Yeah.
Very white. And it's geographically incorrect,
right.
Historically incorrect. When you talk about, especially with you being Jewish,
Yeah.
you look at the Old Testament image of God, it's not necessarily a picture that brings warmth
right.
to your soul.
It's not even a human God,
No.
right? So that's the complexity. It's almost like an energy, or we have no visualization of it,
All
right?
all you have is the things that this God has caused or done, which leads you to paint a picture. And the Old Testament is rough.
Yeah,
so
really
I think
rough,
a lot of
yeah.
people are like, you talk about God. So for me, I don't go there. I'm just like, I'm happy to have a picture I know for sure.
Do you have a picture of God in your mind? Do you believe in God?
I believe in infinite consciousness, but to conceptualize God is to limit God.
So you do believe in God?
I think there is only God. You are God in drag.
Okay.
Did you get that?
I did get that. God is everyone, God is everything.
Yeah, there's divine everywhere.
Yeah.
The latest science tells us that there are probably 2 trillion galaxies in the universe. So our planet Earth, is not even 1 grain of sand in all the seashores of the world.
So where does God factor into that?
If you can define God, then that's not God.
What does spirituality mean to you?
Spirituality is when someone recognizes there might be something a little bit deeper than the surface, the status quo.
For me, spirituality has many components. The first is transcendence, going beyond what is called subject-object split. Mm-hmm. Normally we think of reality as me and other. I am somewhere here, you're somewhere there, and this is the world. But it's all one thing.
And what does religion mean to you?
By definition, religion is a set of core beliefs that you do all the time. Religion for me is something that I'm passionate about. I get to do it rather than I have to do it.
Religion right now is dogma, ideology, institution, power-mongering, cronyism, corruption.
So you don't like religion?
As institution, no. Although the institutions do a lot of good work too, but all the conflict in the world are between religious institutions and their ideologies. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, religious experience is very fundamental. So, when you look at the great founders of religion, Jesus, Buddha, Muhammad. They had some very amazing experiences. They tried to articulate that, and people couldn't understand it, so they bought the ideology. You know, if somebody is pointing to the moon, you should be looking at the moon instead of worshipping the finger, but that's what people do.
How do you get the benefit of the organized religion, of having the community to talk about things without the challenges and all the complexity that the organized religion has caused in our society?
We can't throw out the good stuff because there's been bad. That's like saying because there's awful movies, I'm never going to go to a theater again. Like, I think for me, yeah, there's been a lot of harm organized religion has done, but I think there's still hope for it. You need community. We need each other to be able to be able to do this life better.
I think what we call belief and faith are all cover-ups for insecurity. Because if I told you, do you believe in gravity, that's a ridiculous question, right? If you believe in electricity, it's a ridiculous question.
Yes.
So if something is real, then why believe in it? Why not experience it and understand it?
Mm-hmm.
Knowledge and experience are much more important. And so spirituality comes from this fundamental knowledge that reality is infinite, boundless, spaceless, timeless, eternal. And this, whatever this is a finite aspect of that. For me, that is surrender to mystery. And surrender to mystery is more important than some rigid faith.
Does faith need to be a group practice, or can it be entirely individual?
I think if you really have faith, you'd want it to be a group practice. Like, what's the point of faith if you're not going to share it? So I don't understand the nature of an individual faith. You have to ask somebody like Deepak or whoever who kind of has it going. My faith goes this way.
Yeah.
A lot of people's faith goes the other way. Like, it gets them separate. Like, my faith causes me to want to go tell somebody about what I believe.
So if your life is grounded in present moment awareness, that's the best life you can have, which means the most important experience is now. The most important person is in front of you now. The most important task at hand is now. The best way to create a future is to be totally present now with keen focus of attention and intention.
Coming up, is society more secular than ever? Welcome back to The Point. Millennials are the least outwardly religious generation in the country. A quarter of them say they are unaffiliated with any religion. But if God isn't enough to get them interested, will celebrities do it? Is it complicated to have such famous members of the church? I mean, you know, to have Justin Bieber be such an out front member of the church, does that add complexity to it? Can people come to the church for the wrong reasons? Is there such a thing as having people come to the church for the wrong reasons?
I'm not even sure there's a right reason, because I think our motives are typically always bad as humans. Even if you feel like you're trying to do the right thing, there's probably some you in there at some point. So I never worry about, you know, are people coming for the wrong reasons. I think with celebrities, because our culture is so thirsty for fame and celebrity, of course there would be people who maybe, I'm going to go to church, you know, to find God, but if I can get a cool photo of somebody, I'm gonna take it. But I don't care how you get in there, even if your motives are wrong. I'm sure it happens, but
what does that mean that you said that people as human beings, we do everything for the wrong reasons?
I don't think everything, but I do think I think there's always a little bit of humanity mixed in with even our good motives. And I think when people get real hung up on, is this for the right reasons? Like, am I helping a homeless person for the right reasons? Well, at the end of the day, just do it. Do what's right, even if you don't, you know, feel like it's motivated always by the right thing. I think we just need to get in the practice of doing the right thing more.
Are people more interested in a particular faith or practice if they see a celebrity affiliated with it?
They are, but you know, again, I personally feel that we're in a moment of transition right now. The world is at this moment, in my mind, if you'll excuse my saying this, the world is insane. Mm-hmm. If you accept the world as it is, social and economic injustice, poverty, radical, war, terrorism, climate change, extinction of species, mechanized death, atomic weapons, biological warfare, internet hacking. This is, we are risking our extinction, and we're walking around as if everything is normal.
Yeah.
It's insanity, and if you don't agree that it's insane, then you're declaring your own insanity.
Tell me about Hillsong.
A church filled with awesome people that are just trying to get better and some people know about, but 99% of our church are regular, awesome, ordinary people working really hard and trying to, you know, get better day in and day out, and people love it. It's a church that's really eclectic, diverse, fun. You know, we call it home.
It seems like people are particularly gravitated to your church because of the spirituality. And very young and very energetic, right?
There are some young people in there.
A lot of young people.
It is loud. Well, here's why that's funny, because if you walk into church, if you see 3 young people, you're like, this place is crawling with young people.
Right.
It's just because no one's used to anybody under the age of whatever, 25, even wanting to go to church. So we do have young people, but I'm not young. I'm 39. We have a lot of people who are, you know, on a different age bracket.
Are young people less interested in religion and spirituality?
The young people are less interested in organized religion. They may be more interested in spirituality because they're curious and they're, it's a human trait to want to know what's going on. And we don't, by the way, know what's going on. The universe remains a mystery, existence remains a mystery, consciousness remains a mystery. It's called the hard problem of consciousness. No one knows.
I think the church has sometimes been guilty of being really far behind the curve. Like, we think we're edgy if we have like a moving light thing. We're like, we're really hip with the times.
Yeah.
And I think that's the opposite of what God had in mind. I think the church should be, in my opinion, the hub of creativity, of budding entrepreneurs, of people who are creative. And I think we've lost that in the past. And I think that it's coming back to the fold where people are not laughing at the church, and maybe they're actually beginning to learn from it and go, wow, there's some really good, smart people in there.
You think people are laughing at it?
In the past, yeah, for sure.
When you started.
And now. I mean, not us in particular, but I'm saying the church as a whole. People aren't looking at the church as like the beacon of light in our community right now.
Right.
And I think I would love to see that continue to shift.
Do you have a pet?
I do. I have my cat. I have my first cat, Van, I had for 19 years, who I love deeply. And now we have Bree, and Bree just turned a year old. We love cats.
So your cats don't know that you're the CEO of Cheddar. They have no idea how much income you make.
Right.
They have no human constructs that create an ego identity. So there's a purer relationship which is in consciousness, which, for lack of a better word, is love. Humans don't have the capacity for that kind of high intelligence because they're bamboozled by constructs. What's your income? What's your title? What's your job? How important are you? What we call agency power. All the power that comes is from an agency, a title, a bank account, money. It's not pure.
Jesus was a carpenter, right? Like the humblest of souls, right?
Yeah.
What does it mean to be a pastor, but also be famous in a way? You know, is that?
Yeah, I think.
How do you thread that needle?
Well, I would hedge a little bit and say I do know people who are really famous.
Yeah.
So I'm hesitant to say like I'm famous, because I know fame is when you can't breathe. Fame is when you can't live your life in a normal way. I think that there are people who know, you know, my wife and I and our family. But to me, it just reminds me that it's a real honor to, I mean, I've been around famous people who are like, I don't want to talk to you. To me, if someone comes up to me and says, you know, you guys, those people from the church,
Yeah.
to me, it's like the biggest honor to be able to represent what we believe and be able to talk to anybody at any time.
Does your fame run in contradiction to what you're trying to achieve?
My family makes sure that I don't take myself seriously because they don't take me seriously. That keeps you grounded.
Coming up, how the most modern tool of all, social media, affects religion and spirituality. Welcome back to The Point. We're talking about modern religion and spirituality with Deepak Chopra and Pastor Carl Lentz of the contemporary Pentecostal Hillsong Church. I asked them about two of the biggest themes of the modern era, business and social media.
Okay, so social media, for all of its maybe perils, it's made it easier than ever to be a Christian that's knowledgeable.
Yeah.
See, knowledge has always been the issue in the history of the church. Where people couldn't get it, they suffer. And I think with social media now, I might not be able to have you as a mentor, but I can follow you online. I can watch your life. I can learn from you without knowing you. So I think social media has opened up so many avenues for people to hear the message without the method being what stops them.
How has social media And we say internet at large, inspired your own kind of spiritual and personal journey?
It's made me think deeply sometimes on what we're projecting, how we can encourage people more. I think sometimes we always say Instagram is not who you are, it's who you want people to think you are. And so we have done our best to try to show people, if we're going to have a platform as big, let's try to at least be genuine when we can with it. And so for me, it's caused me to reflect more and learn how to deal with criticism.
Social media is neutral by itself.
Okay.
What we do, it reflects the human condition. So you can find the divine and the diabolical both on social media.
Yeah.
It's up to you how you use it. This could be our next extinction caused by human behavior. On the other hand, we have the capacity through social media, through networks, through everything that we use today, whether it's entertainment, music, movies, documentaries, news networks, education, social networks, we have the ability to rewire the planetary global brain to create a more peaceful, just, sustainable, healthier, and joyful world. And this is where we are right now, at a crossroads, either extinction or probably the next evolution that human consciousness can take.
Is religion a business?
Yes.
It is.
Yeah. I think whether that's right or wrong is for people to debate. But I don't think it's a bad thing if it's done correctly. I don't think the local church, in my context, is a business at all. But I think people are profiting off of, well, what's religion? Religion is a set of views and values that one practices regularly. So you can be religious about boxing. So I think, yeah, if someone's out there who wants to monetize anything, religion is a very, very viable option for you, and it doesn't make it right, but people are doing it.
Is religion a business? I mean, you kind of said earlier that it is. I mean, yeah,
it is. But it's okay. You know, if you're helping people, and a lot of religions do a lot of humanitarian work, then I think it's okay for them to make money, because you have to pay your expenses, you have upkeep of personnel, things like that. Medicine is a business right now, right? So it's okay if religion is a business, but I think we have to grow up to embrace religious experience and ideals rather than dogma and ideology.
Coming up, the toughest question of all. Welcome back. No matter how you live your life, everyone dies. I asked our guests what they think happens next. Let's talk about death and sin. What happens when you die?
Depends on who you know. I think if you, obviously death leads to what is the question. I believe there is
The heaven.
Heaven. I believe there's hell. I believe that people have an option, whether their sin will be the decider or their forgiveness. Because we all sin, everybody in this room.
Yes.
Unless someone has angel wings and wants to fly around. That's the essence of the gospel. Everybody is a sinner. Jesus took all that on the cross, so we don't have to suffer the consequences of what we should.
Right.
And it's as simple and as clear for me as that.
And then anyone who seeks forgiveness
anybody
doesn't go to hell.
That's what the Bible says.
And is that your belief?
That's my belief. I have to believe what Jesus said over what people say. So Jesus said, anybody who believes in me will not perish. And as crazy and as mystical as that sounds, I mean, that's what our whole life is based off of. If there's no salvation, if there's no way to make this right, then we need somebody to save the day.
And you can basically seek that forgiveness even up to the last minute, right?
Absolutely.
Which is sort of amazing that it's such a simple thing.
Yeah.
What happens after death?
Death is a construct. It doesn't exist. Death happens to an experience, not to the consciousness in which experience.
You think your consciousness continues on after death?
The consciousness is timeless, so it was there before birth and it continues after death. The birth and death and this experience is an interlude. You're a spiritual being having a human experience, a non-local, timeless being having a time-bound local experience.
Do you believe in reincarnation?
Everything recycles, including all energy, all information. Well, if energy, matter, information recycle, then consciousness, which is the source of all of this, must recycle.
Right.
I think the essence of this life is to know God while we're here.
Yeah.
Walk with Him while we have, while we have time to do something about it. Because it's not about us. So most of religion is about you, making you better. How can you purify your soul? Ours is different. It's what can get through you. Your money is not about you. Your faith isn't about you.
The kind of anxiety that humans have, no other species has. See, the other species will have anxiety when there's a predator. There's an antelope and there's a panther or tiger. The antelope will run, right?
Well, is that anxiety or is that just fear? That's just fear.
Yeah, so fear. But human beings have other kinds of anxiety. What will happen if the stock market crashes? What if my wife leaves me? What if I lose my job? And if none of that, then of course I will get old, I will have infirmity, and I will have death.
Right.
So in a way, all human anxiety is the fear of death, stepping into the unknown. There's a part of you that's not in time, and that once you get in touch with that, which spiritual traditions call soul, spirit, or whatever, I call it consciousness. When you get in touch with that, there is no death. Death happens to an experience, not to you. The body-mind is an experience.
While culture may be getting more secular, everyone believes something. The point is my guests believe that modern spirituality and contemporary religion are less about telling you how to live and more about helping you do it well. Join us next week for more great conversations on The Point.